By the end of summer, in the events that followed finding the animatory in Redpine Valley, the initial optimism that had overcome the tribe had subsided. The summer was a bountiful and productive one. Everyone bustled about their daily toils with whimsy and hope. The newfound stability of their tribe led to aspirations of finding a temple in honour of their ideology, the Order of Harmony. After the terrible day that turned the 5 survivors into refugees, the Order of Harmony was almost completely lost. But the tribe endeavoured to keep the traditions of their belief alive. That said, much of the ideas and knowledge of their teachings resided in the minds of the pious shamans that were now part of the soil and the trees. Going forward, their beliefs had the advantage of fluidity, as is the case for many an ideology or religion. Fortunately, those that remained alive, Mackay, Shinichi, Squowan, Phi and Vix, shared the core values of order, justice and harmony. In practical terms, what holding on to their beliefs meant was to be prepared for the Harmonic Ascension, a light lantern festival to celebrate the end of harvest, where harmonics transfigure their hopes and wishes into flames and release them unto the heavens. As the lights part and travel off in solitude, before extinguishing themselves into the vast purple sky, one can imagine what their hopes and wishes will become if left to drift away whilst only watching. Though this may lead a pessimistic mind to hopelessness, it is really a lesson in the value of action. One can still be optimistic, as on occasion the lights of those hopes can catch the attention of someone who is willing to help. Not only was the philosophical and spiritual knowledge of their former tribe lost, but also much technology. Before the disaster, the tribe was hardly advanced in the ways of science and engineering, but they could stitch warm clothes, refine crucial medications, and utilise stone in construction. Now, with somewhat sturdy walls and regular meals on the table, Mackay could dedicate herself to rediscovering what was lost to them. This necessitated countless hours hidden away in the workshop, but before summer was through, she had devised a functional system of masonry that would provide more protection and beauty than their current wooden structures, given enough time and manpower to replace them. Mackay was not alone huddled away in the workshop, as Shinichi too spent much of his time at his art bench. When he was rarely needed for mining small outcroppings of rock, he dispatched the task with ease, before returning to where he felt most comfortable. For the first time in his 58 years, he felt truly appreciated here, as the others were quick with their gratitude when he swiftly cleared rock into rubble. Of course, he really wished their gratitude was directed towards his artwork. Perhaps that rather self-centered notion would be what he himself wished for at the Harmonic Ascension. This would be atypical for Shinichi, as despite the many years of having his brilliance overlooked, his kind nature would always lead him to savour hope for the health and safety of others when taking part in the festival. Though those helps had hardly helped his friends that had not made it this far. All the same, his ambition to have his artwork recognised was already in effect to some degree. When a passing shaman merchant of the peaceful Colmia Confederation tribe visited Redpine Valley, all of his earlier works had been traded for a mighty shock lance that Shinichi was honoured to be chosen to wield. Since then, his ability in wood carving had only grown. Toiling all day at the art bench had somewhat diminished his inspiration, and Shinichi took to producing many carvings of himself sculpting with small amounts of humility. When the shaman merchants departed Redpine Valley, they left a cowboy hat as a token of their appreciation. It is of little surprise that the traders were so appreciative, as they likely got the deal of a lifetime. Shinichi was the most accomplished negotiator of the group, but a driven raccoon could strike a better bargain than the deformed dirt mole could. The lack of charisma and leadership was the main reason that no one in the tribe had stepped up as Harmonic Elder. Squowan was one of the group whose absence of verbal talents was not a surprise. As a pigskin, she had little natural skill in diplomacy. However, one is not always beholden to their nature, as Squowan herself demonstrated when she came down with gut parasites, which Vix had previously thought was impossible for a pigskin to contract. Whilst this did not completely infirm Squowen, and also gave Vix an opportunity to hone her medical skills, it did hairpin Squowen's productivity, as well as her bowels. The others let Squowen keep the cowboy hat. Though food may run short when the ground hardens and the animals hibernate, the thing that scared Vix the most was running out of go juice. If she could not satiate her dependency, she would slip into a coma and die. Finally, after almost 20 days of abstinence, she decided to dip into her rations. All Vix's anxieties dissipated as her heart beat deeply within her chest, and she wondered why she'd ever taken caution and waited so long to give her body the nectar that it needs to survive. Her mind raced as she now understood why her hussar kin revelled in aggression and explosive activity so innately. Still, that violence was not an outlook that Vix could or would ever succumb to. She had fretted so much prior to taking the go juice that she had missed collective morning meditation. Feeling a desire to be at one with the tribe, she headed straight for the anima tree. Vix was there so quickly she did not even process how she got there, or register when the rest of the tribe wished her goodbye before their hunt. Such was her intensity that a patch of anima grass bloomed in front of her eyes, enrapturing her in utter devotion to her beliefs. It was not until later, when her head cooled, that she was left with a bleak understanding that unless the tribe could acquire stacks upon stacks of go juice, she would never be able to sustain the level of functionality that she craved. But also, Vix reflected that for her, it was a curse to only reach your full potential when entranced by the mania of intoxication. For now, perhaps it was a blessing that she mustn't touch her stockpile unless a life-threatening event occurs. Guilt tugged at Vix when she momentarily found herself longing for sudden calamity. The long days of summer made for peaceful bonding. The addition of the stonecutter's table to the workshop led to the unusual occurrence of Fi spending a lot of time with both Mackay and Shinichi. It was unusual for Fi to spend much time with anyone, except the turkeys and buffaloes. It is a wonder that the same person who is so accomplished at understanding the behaviour of animals cannot read the most basic social cues. Despite this, the three became closely acquainted. In fact, to Fi, kind Shinichi and pretty Mackay were her dearest friends, and it took Fi a long time to become friends with anyone. However, no matter how highly Fi valued their friendship, she could not spot the clear signs that the other two were more than friends. This did not stop Fi being happy when Shinichi and Mackay's engagement was announced. As December passed into Aprimay and summer drew to an end, there was an ominous feeling on the wind. Where the tribe had previously had to strive to survive, there was now a more dangerous atmosphere of blood and dust. The tribe would reap what they sow, as Fi learned on the 4th of Aprimay 5501, after she survived a warg that decided to hunt her for dinner. Only that morning, Fi had rolled the first batch of smoke leaf joints from the summer's harvest. As she enjoyed a well-deserved toke on the leaf that was fertilised in the same water basin as their holy anima tree, she listened to the sound of the warg's remains being butchered in the next room. Soon after, when the munchies kicked in, Fi unfortunately gorged herself on some questionable meals and got food poisoning. While she could thank past Fi for rolling the joint, she would have to rely on future Fi to take the brunt of the inevitable vomiting and diarrhoea to come. Perhaps borrowing so much happiness from tomorrow was unwise a mere 2 days before the Harmonic Ascension festival, with still so much to do. Although, in reality, the biggest problem that had resulted from Fi's self-destructive actions was not lost productivity, but a moment of vulnerability for the tribe, as Mackay, Shinichi and parasite-ridden Squowen alone had to fend off a pair of Neanderthal aggressors that left Hyde the monkey added to the list of those needing bed rest. The day before the festival, Shinichi also came down with food poisoning, and it seemed as though the tribe were foolish for ever thinking they would finish building the temple in time. As the time of the festival came about, the earth of Redpine Valley was strewn with blood and vomit. After Mackay also contracted food poisoning on the morning of the festival, she unfortunately did not have the strength to stand, although not one of the colonists were completely healthy. The remaining survivors limped into the woodlands to gather wood to craft their lanterns and imbue them with their hopes and wishes. Vix wished for continued peace, Squowan for prosperity and a solid bowel movement, Fi for the survival of her tamed herd throughout winter, and Shinichi sacrificed his aspirations of artistic fame, instead using this opportunity to whisper a prayer for Mackay's health. On a clear night, it can take a long time for those little lanterns to disappear. All hope lanterns are collectively released together, and it is almost impossible to keep track of your own. The last shining light in the darkness could always be yours. In the time it took for the last fire to go out, one could breathe deep, reflect, and act to keep those dreams alive. Despite the clear difficulties that were to follow, the tribe dined with joy and hope in their hearts. The festivities were so captivating that Squone passed out of exhaustion before making it back to her room. Although the rough-hewn stone by the fire in the great hall was a darn sight warmer than Squone's or any of their rooms. The temperatures outside were already freezing, and there were no warm clothes to wear. In addition to the tribe's woes, the second cornfield planted would never grow fully before the bitter chills ravaged the plants. Hopefully, the pemmican made over summer would be enough to sustain them through to next spring. As the episode suggests, from the first of Aprimay, the difficulty was changed from Strive to Survive to Blood and Dust. I likely won't be changing that again. I've never ventured into losing its fun before, and doubt I will now. At the same time, can't falter and lower the difficulty either, so we're stuck. Also, it's of course commitment mode with Randy Random, which is definitively the best way to play RimWorld. And mods I'm using include all the DLCs, P Music, that adds more tracks, Level Up, that gives a notification when a pawn levels a skill, Interaction Bubbles, that display the conversations the pawns are having above their heads, and Follow Me, that lets you lock the camera to a pawn or animal. Of course, and the well-named Harmony mod to configure them. Let's see, and on the day of the Harmonic Ascension, the tribe had survived 25 days